Hello, everyone. In this lecture video, we will be discussing the endocrine system, but we move to the endocrine system discussion proper. Let's have a quick reflection question. So, basically, ang sinasabi lang ng slide na to is hindi lahat ng body functions natin ay kailangan ng fast or quick responses from the nervous system. But there are also functions that require slower, longer lasting regulation or slower sustained control. And yung mga functions na yon ay examples ay growth, reproduction, egg production, milk production, and even the survival of the animal. Okay? So yun yung difference. The nervous system is quick and yung endocrine system natin provides slower and longer lasting regulation. Speaking of the difference, we have here a table showing a comparison between the nervous system and the endocrine system. So as a summary, ang sinasabi lang nito is yung nervous system natin, they work through um, electrical impulses. So itong mga electrical impulses na to ay they travel along nerves or tinatawag natin na neuron. They travel very fast actually. They travel very fast but yung duration lang ng effect is short-lived. So kung kailan mo lang talaga siya gagamitin or kailangan ng body. And the target organs of these electrical impulses are the muscles and the glands. So immediate response, kaya nga siya very fast. And then, ang typical example natin, if you remember our lecture video on the nervous system, when a cow flicks its tail instantly when bitten by a fly. So mabilis, instant. So mabilis yung action. Very fast. So milliseconds. Mabilis na tinanggal or plinik nung cow yung kanyang tail. Kasi nafe-feel niya or na-receive niya yung stimulus na merong fly na dumapo sa kanya. In the case of the endocrine system, ang chemical messengers or ang messengers ng endocrine system ay tinatawag nating hormones. These hormones travel sa blood. So see the difference? Neurons travel along nerves. Hormones travel, dumadaloy siya, sumasama siya sa bloodstream. And the speed of action is slower and longer lasting. And the type of controls, ibig sabihin ito yung mga functions that depend primarily on the endocrine system with growth, development, reproduction, and metabolism. So, yung sagot doon sa previous slide kanina, ito yung mga functions na hindi necessarily kailangan ng immediate responses by the nervous system. Once again, these are growth, development, reproduction, and metabolism. Examples, from animal examples, we have cow produces milk continuously under hormonal control of prolactin. So, in other words, milk production. So, yung milk production is a typical example of a function that is regulated by the endocrine system. Kasi long-lasting yung milk production. Hindi naman nag-i-stop yung milk production. Like, for example, in seconds. So, hindi na, kung seconds lang ang duration ng milk production, then the animal, the young, the newborn will not be able to uh, get enough nutrition and survive. So, longer lasting siya. So, mas matagal, it lasts for days or even weeks. Ito, syempre, mabilis lang ang response. Speaking of tail does not necessarily last for days or weeks, right? Di pa yung nagbanugan. Ito, it lasts for days or even weeks. So, yung mga susunod na slides will just show you yung location ng different glands. So, sa endocrine system, yung mga organs natin, or yung main organs, we call them glands or endocrine glands in particular. So, mga endocrine glands sa chicken, we have ito yung mga positions. So pare-pareho lang ang endocrine glands sa chickens, sa cattle, sa pigs, and horse, and in other farm animals. So, yan yung mga positions ng endocrine glands. So, speaking of endocrine glands, these are the major endocrine glands. And of course, we have two identify ano yung mga hormones secreted by these endocrine glands and saan yung target ng mga hormones na yon. So first, we have the hypothalamus. So yung hypothalamus, this is a very small but powerful part of the brain. And kahit ito ay maliit, it's called the master controller. Master controller of many of our body functions because it connects the nervous system and the endocrine system. It connects the nervous system, which works with electrical signals, and the endocrine system, which works with hormones. Kaya siya tinatawag na master controller and kaya rin siya tinatawag na bridge. It bridges the nervous system and the endocrine system. The hormones produced by the hypothalamus are the CRH and the GnRH. CRH stands for corticotropin releasing hormone. So yung corticotropin releasing hormone, nire-release, sinisecrete, yung produce ng hypothalamus patungo or targeting the anterior pituitary gland or what we call the adenohypophysis. And sasabihin niya dito sa anterior pituitary gland or adenohypophysis na, oy, kailangan mo nang mag-release ng ACTH or ng adrenocorticotropic hormone. So yun yung parang communication. So, mag-release sa hypothalamus ng CRH para targetin or sasabihin kay anterior pituitary na mag-stimulate na or mag-release na ng ACTH. Another hormone produced by the hypothalamus is GnRH or gonadotropin-releasing hormone. Same ang target, adenohypophysis or anterior pituitary. Sasabihin ni gonadotropin-releasing hormone kay adenohypophysis na kailangan mo nang mag-release ng FSH at saka LH. FSH stands for follicle stimulating hormone and LH stands for luteinizing hormone. So you will meet these hormones when we talk about the hormones produced by the anterior pituitary gland, which is nasa next slide. So adenohypophysis, do not forget, this is the other term for anterior pituitary gland. Kasi ang pituitary gland natin ay may dalawang lobes, the anterior or yung mas front na part, yung harap na part, and harap na lobe. And the posterior pituitary gland is the posterior meaning sa likod na part, likod na lobe. So these are the hormones produced by the anterior pituitary gland. Okay. So yung anterior pituitary yung the pituitary gland is actually called the master gland. Bakit siya tinawag na master gland? Kasi it produces hormones that control many other endocrine glands. Ito, mga endocrine glands, adrenal cortex, ovaries, testes, thyroid gland, etc. So yung pituitary gland or the anterior pituitary gland controls the other glands. Kumbaga, siya yung commander that receives order from the hypothalamus of the brain. So siya yung nag-i-instruct sa mga ito na para gawin na nila yung kanilang function. Let's start with ACTH. So the adenohypophysis releases ACTH or what we call the adrenocorticotropic hormone. Itong adrenocorticotropic hormone, sinasabi kay adrenal cortex na kailangan mo nang i-stimulate yung development of your cortex. Sinasabi niya sa adrenal cortex na kailangan mo nang i-develop yung cortex mo. From the term cortical development, kailangan nang i-develop ang cortex. Yung adrenal gland kasi ay may dalawang parts, the cortex and the medulla. So sabihin niya, kailangan na mag-grow niyan. Para kasi kapag nag-grow ito, para nag-mature yung adrenal cortex, it will be able to perform its function. Okay? Function na mag-release ng hormone na glucocorticoid. So, wag kakalimutan si adenohypophysis, magre-release ng ACTH. Sasabihin ni ACTH doon sa adrenal cortex na kailangan nang mag-develop yung adrenal cortex mismo. Kailangan mo nang mag-develop so that you will be able to perform your duty or responsibility, which is to release glucocorticoids. Okay? Next, another hormone released by the adenohypophysis is FSH. FSH is your follicle stimulating hormone. Sasabihin naman ngayon ni FSH kay ovaries and testis na, oy, kailangan nang mag-develop yung follicles. So sabihin niya kay ovary, kailangan nang mag-develop yung mga follicles mo. And sasabihin naman ni FSH kay testis is, kailangan nang mag-develop yung sperm. So yan yung role ni FSH. Minamanduhan niya sina ovary and testis to perform their functions. Okay? Next, LH. LH naman stands for luteinizing hormone. The luteinizing hormone, sasabihin niya kay ovary and testes to perform their function as well. So yung ovary, hindi lang follicular development, si testes, hindi lang sperm development ng kanyang function, but also sa ovary, through the message from the LH, sasabihin niya na kailangan mo nang mag-ovulate. Yeah. Kumbaga, yun yung message, yun yung instruction ni LH sa ovary na kailangan mo nang i-trigger or i-stimulate yung ovulation. And of course, pag nag-ovulate, madedevelop ang corpus luteum. Madedevelop ang corpus luteum, which will also secrete the hormone progesterone. And sa males, syempre through the testis, sasabihin ni LH kay testis na, kailangan mo nang mag-secrete ng androgen. Or pag sinabi natin androgen, this is just the general term for the male hormones. And the main hormone, the general term for the male hormones, and the primary male hormone or primary androgen is testosterone. Huwag malilito. Next, another hormone produced by the anterior pituitary gland is GH or growth hormone, or we also call this as STH or the somatotropic hormone. So, ang target gland or target organ ng GH or STH is bones, liver, and tissue. So that, sasabihin ni GH, dito sa mga target organs na to, you have to have, you have to grow. Kumbaga, you have to um, perform metabolism. You have to allow your muscles to grow and develop. Yun yung sasabihin ni GH saka or STH dito sa mga parts na to. Kaya kung kulang ka ng GH or kulang ng ang hayop ng GH or STH, hindi mag-grow. Hindi magde-develop ang muscles. Hindi magde-develop or mag-grow ang bones. Hindi magme-metabolize ang liver. Okay? Next, TSH. TSH is called thyroid stimulating hormone. Ang target naman ng TSH ay yung thyroid gland. So sasabihin ng TSH kay thyroid gland, oy, kailangan mo nang mag-release ng thyroid hormones. Thyroid hormones, ang function ng mga thyroid hormones natin is to regulate metabolism. And then last, a hormone produced by the adenohypophysis is PRL or prolactin. Ang gagawin naman ni prolactin ay sasabihin niya kay mammary gland na kailangan mo nang mag-produce ng milk. So, lactation is milk production. Kailangan mo nang mag-produce ng milk. At sasabihin naman ni prolactin kay CNS or Central Nervous System is you have to develop maternal behavior para maalagaan mo ng maayos yung newborn mo or yung young mo. So, summary of this slide, si adenohypophysis, also known as the anterior pituitary gland, ay may iba-ibang hormones na nire-release. And itong mga hormones na to ay minamanduhan or ini-instruct yung mga target organs sa ating katawan to perform their respective function. Okay? So, kaya siya tinawag na master gland kasi siya yung, kumbaga, nagmamando dito. So, iba't iba yung position. So, ito yung pituitary gland. Sasabihin kay thyroid gland to produce the thyroid hormones. Sasabihin kay adrenal glands or adrenal cortex through ACTH na kailangan mo nang gawin yung function mo. Sasabihin niya kay ovaries na kailangan mo nang gawin yung function mo. So, ganun siya. Nagbibigay siya ng instructions through the hormones it produces. Next, so kung merong anterior pituitary gland or merong adenohypophysis, meron din tayong tinatawag na posterior pituitary gland or we call that neurohypophysis. may dalawang hormones produced by the neurohypophysis. By the way, actually, yung neurohypophysis or the posterior pituitary gland does not actually make hormones, but rather nag-i-store siya ng hormones na gawa ng hypothalamus, no? Kumbaga, parang warehouse siya or delivery unit. Sa hypothalamus, nagmamanufacture ng hormones and dito na-i-store sa posterior pituitary gland. So, yung mga na-i-store na hormones sa posterior pituitary gland are the oxytocin and the antidiuretic hormone or yung tinatawag nating vasopressin. Yung oxytocin ay sinasabi niya sa uterus na kailangan nang mag-contract yung uterus. Kailangan mo nang mag-contract. So, nagagamit yung oxytocin or in high levels ang oxytocin during panganganak, during parturition. So, tumutulong yung oxytocin to stimulate parturition because it allows the uterus to contract, helping the animals to give birth. And sinasabi din ng oxytocin sa mammary glands na kailangan nang magkaroon ng milk letdown. Pag sinabi nating milk letdown, that is milk release. Milk release. Iba yung lactation. Lactation is milk production. Milk letdown is milk release. Next, another is antidiuretic hormone or ADH, or we can also call this as vasopressin. Sinasabi ni ADH or vasopressin sa kidneys na kailangan mag-conserve tayo ng water. So, paano magko-conserve ng water yung kidneys? Nire-reabsorb ng kidneys yung tubig by regulating the urine output ng farm animals or natin, regulating our urine output. Meaning to say, um, since the kidneys reabsorb the water, hindi tayo, or konti lang yung nare-release natin na ihi. So, yun yung role ng Ang ibig sabihin ng diuretic is, tawag dito, kapag sinabi mong ang isang bagay ay diuretic, makapaisbo, yun ang diuretic. So, ang antidiuretic is to prevent or to decrease yung action na yun. So, it prevents or decrease the urine output or it lessens the urine output. Ano pa? Vasopressin also, yung role naman, kaya siya tinawag na vaso referring to blood vessels, and pressin meaning kinoconstrict niya yung blood vessels. So dito, ang target ng ADH or vasopressin ay hindi lang kidneys but also arterioles. So sinasabi niya sa arterioles, ano ang arterioles? Arterioles, these are small arteries. So sinasabi niya dito sa arterioles na we have to constrict, we have to help increase blood pressure. Yun yung sinasabi ng vasopressin. Next. Next is pineal gland. Ang hormone released by the pineal gland is melatonin. Saan makikita ang pineal gland? Dito siya malapit. It's a very small gland in the brain. Kahit small gland siya, it plays a big role in keeping time inside the body of farm animals. Kasi ang melatonin is a hormone of darkness. So, bakit siya hormone of darkness? Because it is released mostly at night. Ang two main jobs ng melatonin, kumbaga ang melatonin sinasabi niya sa brain is you have to regulate sleep-wake cycle. Ang ibig sabihin nun, nag-act yung melatonin as the body clock ng hayop or even ng tao. Nasasabihin niya na yung kailangan ng mag-rest ng hayop. So, alam niya kung kailan ang resting period and alam niya kung kailan ang active period. The animal knows kung kailan ang day and kailan ang night through the hormone melatonin. So, also, yung function ng melatonin is sasabihin niya sa reproductive organs na it's breeding time already. So, it influences seasonal breeding. Kasi may mga animals na seasonally polyestrous, ibig sabihin hindi sa lahat ng months ay naglalande, such as yung sheep and goats natin. They're animals that breed during specific seasons only. And bakit specific seasons only? Kasi yung mga hayop na yon is affected by the length of daylight. So, since merong melatonin ang hayop, released by the pineal gland, alam niya, madedetermine niya kung kailan mas mahaba ang araw and kung kailan mas shorter or kung kailan shorter ang araw. So, yun yung melatonin ha. It works as a body clock or as a daily timekeeper or as a seasonal calendar of animals. Next, thyroid gland naman tayo. Ang itsura ng thyroid gland is a butterfly-shaped gland located sa neck region of animals. So this is a chicken, this is a pig. So dyan yung location ng thyroid gland. Just below the larynx or the voice box. So nagpo-produce siya ng hormones. We have T4 or tinatawag din natin na thyroxine, T3 or the triiodothyronine. Ang main function ng T4 and T3 or ang target rather, ang target nila almost all cells. So sabihin lahat ng cells, walang pinipili. Okay? So they control kasi yung metabolic rate. So they increase the metabolic rate, basal metabolic rate of farm animals in almost all cells. And they also regulate how much energy these cells use, how much oxygen they consume, and how much ATP or energy they generate. Next, calcitonin, another hormone produced by the thyroid gland, sasabihin niya sa bone. So, ang target organ ng calcitonin is bone. Kasi ang function or ang sasabihin niya sa bone ay kailangan mong i-regulate yung calcium levels mo. So it promotes calcium retention sa blood. It lowers blood calcium. How does it do that? It helps regulate blood calcium by promoting calcium storage in bone. So nire-retain niya yung calcium doon sa bone. In other words, si thyroid gland, sasabihin niya sa bone via the calcitonin na pinoproduce na hormone na ay, teka lang, kailangan mong i-retain yung calcium levels sa bone mo. Huwag kang produce ng produce or huwag kang release ng calcium. Kasi kung hindi, magkakaroon ng decrease or magkakaroon ng um, increase rather. Kung kailangan, kung i-release itong blood calcium doon sa blood, kung hindi kung mababa rather, kung mababa ang calcitonin levels, ang mangyayari, tataas ang calcium levels in the blood, which means bababa ang matitira, kokonti ang matitira sa bones natin. Because remember, in our skeletal system lecture, we said that yung bones natin, they are the storage of minerals. An example is calcium. So, kailangan may ma-retain na calcium sa bones natin. So kung hindi nagpa-function or walang enough na calcitonin released by the thyroid gland, walang magsasabi sa bone na gawin niya itong function. Kumbaga, walang magre-remind sa bone na kailangan i-retain niya yung calcium sa mismong bone. Kasi kung hindi mare-retain ang calcium sa mismong bone, masyado ang calcium sa blood. Okay? Next. Parathyroid gland. Parathyroid glands ay four tiny glands, yan siya, at the back of the thyroid. Located at the back of the thyroid gland. So kahit maliliit sila, they are very important for maintaining calcium balance sa ating katawan. So ang nire-release ng parathyroid gland is yung parathyroid hormone, abbreviated as PTH. So ang tinatarget naman yan ay yung bones at saka kidneys. So sinasabi ng parathyroid hormone sa bones na you have to increase blood calcium level. Or ibig sabihin no, sasabihin niya sa bone na, yung mga kinikip mo na calcium dyan, kailangan mo nang i-release. Kailangan mo nang i-release sa bloodstream. Yun yung sasabihin ni PTH. Kumbaga, ang function ng parathyroid hormone is opposite of calcitonin. Kasi si calcitonin, kailangan niyang i-retain yung calcium sa bone to lower calcium levels in the blood. Pero si parathyroid hormone, opposite. Kailangan mo daw, sasabihin na kay bone, kailangan mo nang i-release yung tinatago mo na calcium dyan sa bone para ma-increase ang blood calcium level. Sa kidneys naman, sinasabi ni parathyroid hormone na um, reduce. So, PTH reduces calcium excretion in the urine so that masasave ng body yung calcium levels instead of losing it. So, bakit importante? Kasi yung calcium helps activate yung vitamin D natin. Okay? So, kumbaga, yung PTH or yung parathyroid hormone is our calcium rescuer. Kasi kung mababa yung calcium level doon sa blood natin, sasabihin niya sa kidneys na huwag ka masyadong magre-release ng calcium. Sasabihin niya sa kidneys na you have to save the calcium. Because bakit calcium? Kasi not only in the skeletal system, we also mentioned calcium levels when we discuss about muscle contraction in our muscular system, right? Calcium is very important for muscle contraction and pati rin sa nervous system, calcium is very important. Ganon din sa milk production, calcium is very important. Milk production, egg production, so on. Next, pancreas or yung pancreatic islets natin. Yung pancreas ay ito ang itsura niya sa tao and this is sa chickens. So you know the parts of the digestive system of the chicken, right? You're familiar with these parts. Pero mag-focus tayo dito sa part na to. So this is the start of the small intestine of the chicken and then tuloy-tuloy lang siya hanggang dyan. Itong nauna na portion, so this is the first segment of the small intestine. Ang tawag pala dyan ay duodenum. Itong loop na yan. The first segment of the small intestine. May nakaipit dito sa duodenum na pancreas. Yan ang itsura ng pancreas. So kung i-enlarge natin, itong nakaipit na yan, medyo kulay pink, yan yung pancreas. Medyo kulay pink or pale pink kapag nagkakatay kayo ng manok. So, ano ang function ng pancreas? So doon sa pancreas, meron tayo mga pancreatic islets. Maliliit na structures sa pancreas. Ang tawag natin dyan ay pancreatic islets. Or sometimes we call this as islets of Langerhans. So itong pancreatic islets na to, nagpo-produce siya ng hormones, very important, na insulin, at saka glucagon. So itong dalawang hormones na to, they regulate blood sugar levels. Blood sugar levels, correct. So specifically, yung insulin ay pinoproduce ng beta cells. Sa pancreatic islets kasi, meron tayong tinatawag na alpha cells at saka beta cells. Yung insulin is produced or secreted by the beta cells. The glucagon is released or produced by the alpha cells. Do not interchange that. That's very important. So yung insulin, sinasabi niya sa many tissues. So ang target niya, many tissues such as our muscle, fat, liver. Sinasabi niya na kailangan um, magkaroon ng glucose uptake. Sinasabi niya sa cells na kailangan mag-take in ka ng glucose from the blood and gamitin mo yan for energy. So kung ita-take up ng mga cells natin, mga tissues natin, mga muscles natin, yung glucose level, bababa ngayon ang concentration ng blood sugar sa ating dugo. Because remember, para mas mabilis ninyong maintindihan, di ba yung mga diabetes patients ay nag uh, nag uh, nag-i-inject ng insulin. So, ang ginagawa nun, yung mga diabetic patients kasi natin ay mataas yung blood sugar level nila. So, ang ginagawa ng insulin is to decrease blood sugar level. How does it decrease blood sugar levels? By promoting glucose uptake by the cells, by the muscles, by the liver. And kapag magkaroon ng glucose uptake, yung mga cells natin, nai-store siya sa liver, sa mga muscles natin as glycogen. Nai-store siya as fat, which we use, which is used by us or by farm animals kapag kailangan natin ng energy. Yan. And then yung glucagon naman opposite. So yung glucagon ay Kung yung insulin, binababa niya or it lowers blood pressure, uh, blood sugar rather, it lowers blood sugar level. Yung glucagon, it raises or it increases blood sugar level. Ibig sabihin, nire-release ng liver, sinasabi niya sa liver na, di ba sabi natin, na i-store yung glucose sa liver in the form of glycogen. So ngayon, kapag kulang, feel naman ng katawan natin na parang kulang yung blood sugar. Ang sasabihin ni glucagon, kumbaga, the glucagon will perform its function, sasabihin niya kay liver na kailangan mo nang mag-release ng sugar. Yun yung sasabihin niya kay liver. How does it release sugar? Through the processes of glycogenolysis and gluconeogenesis. So glycogen is the form of sugar stored in the liver or form of glucose or form of carbohydrates stored in the liver, and lysis meaning breakdown. So kung mababreakdown ngayon itong na-store na glycogen sa liver, naging glucose siya, which is readily available for use as energy by the farm animals. And pwede rin in a process called gluconeogenesis. So ang gluconeogenesis naman is a process by making glucose from proteins or fats. So yung mga kinain ng hayop or kinain natin na proteins tulad ng karne, fish, eggs, etc., merong tayong makukuhang energy doon or meron tayong makukuha na glucose doon. So yun yung gluconeogenesis. Once again, glucagon raises or increases sugar levels in the blood through glycogenolysis and gluconeogenesis. Ang insulin naman, binababaan niya by glucose uptake. Next, we have adrenal cortex. Si adrenal cortex ay isang part ng adrenal gland. Remember, this is sa tao, this is the adrenal gland. And this is the adrenal gland on top of the kidneys or above the kidneys. Ang adrenal gland, yung labas niya, ang tawag natin dyan ay adrenal cortex, and then sa loob, that's the adrenal medulla. So yung adrenal cortex, nagpo-produce siya ng steroid hormones, which we call glucocorticoids and mineralocorticoids. And these hormones are very important for survival. Kasi ginagamit natin ito to cope with stress, regulate metabolism, and maintain salt-water balance. So to start with, yung glucocorticoids, ang typical example ng glucocorticoid hormone is yung cortisol. Cortisol is a stress hormone. So yung cortisol is a stress hormone. Yan yung pinaka-common na stress hormone. Yan ang target ng glucocorticoids ay lahat, almost many organs. An example is yung liver natin. Ang sasabihin ng glucocorticoids sa mga organs natin is kailangang i-regulate yung metabolism of carbohydrates and proteins. Sasabihin niya na you have to cope with stress. Kailangan mong i-manage yung stress. Ano yung mga possible coping mechanisms for stress is these are the functions rather, normal stress response, carbohydrate and protein metabolism. I already mentioned this earlier. What else? It helps break down proteins. So pag sinabing carbohydrate and protein metabolism, we're also talking about breakdown of carbohydrates and proteins to provide energy kasi nai-stress. So that is the reason why kapag mataas yung cortisol levels ng hayop or kapag mataas yung cortisol levels ng tao, ano ang mangyayari? Ano yung coping mechanism niya? Kailangan niya ng extra energy. So, napapakain. Kaya nga tinatawag na may mga instances na tinatawag natin stress eating. So, yung glucocorticoids natin help supply yung extra energy needed during stressful situations. Next, mineralocorticoids naman. Ang most common na mineralocorticoid ay yung aldosterone natin. And yung mineralocorticoids, ang target organ nila is kidneys. Sasabihin sa kidneys na, oh, wait, you have to maintain water balance. You have to maintain electrolyte balance. So pag sinabi nating electrolytes, yun yung mga minerals sa ating katawan or minerals na kailangan natin. Minerals include sodium, potassium, ganyan. Yun yung mga usual minerals na kino-conserve ng uh, or binabalance or nire-regulate ng kidneys with the instruction of the mineralocorticoids. So the kidneys should conserve the sodium and eliminate potassium. Ang typical example is kapag, so mineralocorticoids are very important during dehydration. So, piniprevent yung dehydration, especially during hot weather or periods of heavy sweating para um, hindi siya maging uh, very problematic sa farmer. Next, we have adrenal medulla. So adrenal medulla, that's the inner portion of the adrenal gland. May dalawang hormones na pinoproduce ang adrenal medulla. We have the epinephrine and the norepinephrine. The epinephrine is also known as the adrenaline and the norepinephrine is also known as the noradrenaline. So ang tawag sa mga ito ay fight or flight hormones. Okay? Bakit fight or flight hormones? Because these are fast-acting hormones that prepare the body for emergencies. So, ang target both ay many organs. No? Many organs kasi sasabihin sa mga organs na yun na kailangan, so kung ano ang kailangan ng, so during an emergency, or sorry, yung epinephrine is an emergency hormone. So that means, ang action niyan or ang function is to increase the heart rate. So, di ba during emergency, nag increase ang heart rate, nag increase ang breathing rate, nag increase ang respiratory rate. So, the reason why you experience those during emergency situations is because nagpa-function yung epinephrine na hormone. And to balance yung function or yung action na yan is meron tayong norepinephrine or noradrenaline para magkalma or mag-relax yung hayop. Siyempre, we do not want that the animals will forever experience emergency situation. So, ang ginagawa ng norepinephrine or ang ginagawa ng adrenal medulla is to release or secrete norepinephrine para maging kalmado, to maintain the blood pressure or to lower the blood pressure. Okay? Yan. Para babalik sa stable na condition. Kasi kung puro adrenaline, kaya tinawag na adrenaline rush kasi it's what is released. It's the adrenaline that is released, the hormone that is released during emergency situation. Next, we have the gonads. So the female gonad is called the ovary or ovaries because we have the left and right ovaries. We know that the ovaries produce eggs or ova, but they also act as endocrine glands. So they release these hormones, estrogen, progesterone, and inhibin. So sinasabi ng estrogen, dito sa mga target organs na to, like for example, for the reproductive tract. Sabihin sa reproductive tract that kailangan i-regulate or i-stimulate ang estrous behavior. Estrous behavior is yung paglalandi. Yung mga observations or yung mga um, signs rather, yung mga signs na paglalandi ng hayop. So kapag naglalandi yung hayop, ang mataas na hormone ay yung estrogen. The estrogen also promotes growth of uterine lining and it regulates FSH and LH secretion. Next, progesterone. Ang target organs niyan is the uterus, mammary glands, and hypothalamus. So kumbaga, yung progesterone is the hormone of pregnancy. Estrogen is hormone of estrus. So yun yung mataas na level or yun yung mataas na hormone during paglalandi or estrus. And progesterone naman is the pregnancy hormone. So mataas ang levels ng progesterone during pregnancy because it keeps the uterus suitable for implantation. So para ma-attach or ma-implant yung na-develop na zygote doon sa uterus. Next, it inhibits estrus behavior via the hypothalamus. So, bakit na-inhibit yung estrus behavior? Siyempre, kapag buntis na yung hayop, kapag mataas na yung progesterone levels ng hayop, hindi na siya magpapakita ng signs ng paglalandi. That's why it's called, it inhibits. The function of the progesterone is it inhibits estrous behavior. Kasi once na bumalik sa paglalandi ang hayop, that means bumaba ang progesterone level niya. Bumaba ang progesterone level niya, hindi siya buntis. Next, inhibin. Ang target organ, ang target gland ng inhibin is the anterior pituitary gland or your adenohypophysis. Inhibin ang tawag because it inhibits follicle stimulating hormone secretion. Para hindi masyadong maraming follicles ang ma-develop or ang mag-mature at once sa ovary. So yan. Next, sa male gonads naman or the testes, these are the hormones produced. We have the testosterone. Testosterone, ang target organ is the reproductive organs, skeletal muscle, bone, hypothalamus, and pituitary. So primarily, the testosterone stimulates spermatogenesis. When we say spermatogenesis, that is sperm production. No? It also promotes secondary sex characteristics such as the development of larger muscles or yung muscle ng mga males grows very well because of the presence of testosterone. So, ibig sabihin, yung mga males natin, tao man or hayop man, have a well-developed muscle, mas mabilis yung growth ng kanilang muscle or yung development ng kanilang muscle because of their hormone testosterone. Horn development also in rams or in male sheep, growing in roosters, and aggressive or mating behavior in bulls. So, the reason why males are aggressive, mga farm animals natin, it's because of their high testosterone levels. Next, inhibin, same lang din ang function niya. Ang function ng inhibin is, it should not be follicle development, but it should be, it inhibits follicle stimulating hormone to regulate sperm production. No? Para hindi masyadong marami ang nagde-develop na sperm sa testicle. So very important yung regulation, very important yung homeostasis for efficiency. So those are the major endocrine glands, their hormones that they produce or they secrete, and the target organs, and of course, their corresponding function. Now we move on to the classification of hormones. We can classify them in two main ways, according to chemical nature and according to mode of action. According to chemical nature, we have steroid hormones, peptide or protein hormones, and amine hormones. So this is a detailed comparison between and among steroid hormones, peptide or protein hormones, and amine hormones. But the very gist that I would like to emphasize here is that yung steroid hormones natin, they are lipid-based. Meaning to say, they are derived from cholesterol. Yung peptide hormones natin or yung protein hormones, they are made from amino acids, long chains of amino acids. And the amine hormones, these come from modified amino acids. So since yung mga steroid hormones natin are derived from cholesterol, or they are lipid-based, they are lipid-soluble. Peptide hormones, they are water-soluble. Amine hormones can be both water-soluble or lipid-soluble. Okay? So yung mga steroid hormones natin ang mga typical examples ay yung cortisol or the glucocorticoids, estrogen, testosterone, and progesterone. Next, peptide naman, yung mga examples ay insulin, glucagon, growth hormone, FSH, and LH, and amine hormones, these are your epinephrine, norepinephrine, thyroxine, and melatonin. So, do not forget do not be confused with the three classifications or types of hormones according to chemical nature. And then, according to mode of action, we have the water-soluble hormones and lipid-soluble hormones. Water-soluble kasi syempre, yung water-soluble kasi water-based sila. So basically, your water-soluble hormones are your peptide or protein hormones. Yung lipid-soluble hormones, that's your steroid hormones. So yung mga examples natin kanina, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, etc., those are lipid-soluble hormones. Now, The difference is that why do we classify them according to mode of action? It's because remember your cell membrane. The cell membrane is a lipid bilayer. Ibig sabihin yung uh, the membrane itself is made of lipids, made of fats. So yung mga hormones natin na water soluble cannot diretsong makapasok sa loob ng cell to perform their function. Ah, kaya kailangan nila ng tinatawag natin membrane receptor. Yun yung water soluble. Kailangan may mag-receive sa kanila na structure which we call receptor. Receptor from the term receive. So yung water soluble hormone, kailangan niya ng receptor para makapasok sa loob. Kasi bakit siya hindi ka makapasok? Because made of fats, made of lipids ito. Pero yung mga lipid-soluble hormones natin, since yung membrane, cell membrane mismo is lipid-soluble, they can easily pass through the cell membrane because they dissolve in fat. Yung water does not dissolve in fat, correct? Yan yung main difference. And then we discuss yung feedback mechanisms. Pag sinabi nating feedback mechanisms is how does yung body, the body of the farm animals, control all these hormones so that hindi sila mag-out of balance. So, paano yung control mechanism para ma-maintain pa rin yung homeostasis? Okay. So, we have here negative feedback and positive feedback. Let's discuss first the negative feedback. Ang typical example ng negative feedback mechanism is sa blood glucose regulation. So bakit siya tinawag na negative feedback? Kasi this is a process for the response of the endocrine system reduces or stops the original stimulus. Yan. Kasi di ba, when we eat, when we consume food, tumataas yung blood glucose natin or blood sugar natin. Kapag kapag na feel or na receive ng system natin na tumaas yung blood sugar, magre-respond ngayon si pancreas. Si pancreas magre-release ng insulin para babaan yung tumaas na blood glucose level or blood sugar level. How does it lower blood glucose level? Sasabihin niya yung mga muscles, yung mga yung liver natin, yung cells natin to uptake. Pag sinabing uptake, i-absorb yung extra glucose, yung extra sugar na nandoon sa blood. So kung in-uptake, in-absorb nitong mga organs na to, yung extra glucose, bababa na ngayon yung blood sugar level. Okay? So bababa. And then, bababa rin yung um, sisikret na insulin ni pancreas. Kasi syempre, saka lang naman masisikret or marirelease yung insulin kapag mataas ito, yung blood sugar level. So yan yung negative feedback. It reduces the original stimulus. Reduces yung blood sugar level. Yun yung typical example. And then naman, pwede rin na during resting state, hindi tayo kumain, wala tayong kinain, nag-fasting tayo, nalipasan tayo ng gutom, tendency is bumababa yung blood sugar natin, level of blood sugar. So kapag na-detect ng system natin na bumaba ang blood sugar, mag-work ngayon si pancreas. Gagawin ni pancreas is magre-release siya ng glucagon at this time because the function of glucagon is to increase blood sugar level by releasing yung mga nakatagong glycogen sa liver natin para maging glucose. So, yung mga nakatagong energy sa liver natin, they are in the form of glycogen. So, para maging glucose, yung glycogen, kailangan ng glycogenolysis. Or pwede rin na yung sa proteins and fats natin na i-store sa katawan ay mag-produce, maging glucose in the form of gluconeogenesis. Okay? And so, kapag dumami na ulit, na-increase na ulit yung blood sugar level or nag-release si liver ng glucose, through those processes, glycogenolysis and gluconeogenesis, tataas ngayon ang level of blood sugar sa blood. And kapag tumaas na, yung blood sugar ng blood, madedetect ngayon ng system na oops na, tama na yung secretion natin ng glucagon. Okay? Kasi na-reach na yung level na kailangan ng katawan. So, yun yung cycle. Negative feedback loop is, kumbaga, it reduces the original stimulus. It stops the original stimulus to maintain homeostasis or to maintain balance. And then, meron din tayong feedback, positive feedback mechanism. So, positive feedback, kasi it amplifies or it increases, it strengthens the original stimulus. So since it strengthens, it creates a stronger effect sa body natin, sa system natin, until an endpoint it is reached. Okay. For you to appreciate this, these are examples. Nangyayari ang positive feedback mechanism during giving birth or during parturition. So parturition is giving birth, correct? So what happens is that the uterus stretches or contracts para mag-trigger ng oxytocin release. Okay? So, nag-increase yung level of oxytocin natin sa katawan para mag-contract ang uterine, pushing itong piglet towards the outside. So, for better or for easier delivery. Okay, so nag-increase lang siya ng increase. So, anong nag-increase sa part na yon sa parturition is oxytocin. Anong gland ang nagre-release ng oxytocin? It's the posterior pituitary gland. So, ibig sabihin, since na-sense ng katawan na, ay, manganganak na yung hayop. So, that means, i-signal ngayon ng hypothalamus pituitary na, ay, kailangan mo mag-release ng maraming oxytocin para matulungan itong hayop na to na may labas yung biik. So, positive feedback, it amplifies, it increases the level of hormones para ma-reach yung endpoint. Ang endpoint is this, giving birth. Okay? Next, another example is milk letdown reflex. Milk letdown is milk release. So, once again, yung ginamit natin na example kanina is hormone. So, since merong biik, kailangan ng milk, ano ang mangyayari? Nag-i-increase ngayon. So, kapag pinasakil mo ng colostrum or ng gatas, itong mga piik natin, it will stimulate yung release of oxytocin. So, originally, meron ng um, level of oxytocin sa system. Pero once suckling happens, pag sinabing suckling is dumedede na yung mga biik. Once suckling happens, that triggers more release of oxytocin para mas malaming may labas. Kasi nga, oxytocin is for milk letdown or milk release. So, increase lang yung oxytocin level para may mag-produce na gatas. So, yun yung examples for positive feedback. Ini-increase. Yung negative feedback kanina, kailangan na i-decrease. Kaya nga siya negative para ma-maintain yung homeostasis. And then next, we have integration of nervous and endocrine systems. And um, very important na key player here is yung hypothalamic pituitary axis or what we call HPA. So, dinidiscuss natin ito because this is the bridge between the nervous system and the endocrine system because they work together. The nervous system and the endocrine system work together. So, nervous is for fast electrical signals, endocrine system is for slower, longer lasting regulation para ma-maintain yung homeostasis. So, meron tayong illustration dito. So, yung brain, particularly yung hypothalamus region niya, detects a signal such as, for example, stress or gutom siya or changes in temperature. So, yung hypothalamus sends instruction or mamandohan niya ngayon yung pituitary gland na yung tinatawag natin na master gland na ay, kailangan mo nang sabihan si thyroid gland na mag-release ng kanyang mga hormones para ma-address yung stress. Parang ganun. So, from the hypothalamus, which is the nervous system, part of the nervous system, or part of the brain, mamanduhan si pituitary gland para si pituitary gland sasabihin kay target gland para gawin yung kanyang function. So, yan yung ibig sabihin ng hypothalamic pituitary axis para they work together harmoniously. And these are the common endocrine disorders. It's very important to um, understand this para kung alam natin kung ano yung cause ng mga disorders na to, we know what to address. So, for example, bumaba yung blood calcium levels after manganak yung hayop, ang tawag doon, especially if this is not addressed, is milk fever or hypocalcemia. Hypo meaning low, calcemia pertaining to calcium. So, ang nangyayari sa hayop is there's muscle weakness, tremors, and hindi niya kayang tumayo, which is what we call downer cow. Another is cystic ovarian disease due to hormone imbalance. So, merong uh, imbalance sa follicle stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone, estrogen, and progesterone. So nangyayari rin ito sa hayop. This is more commonly known as PCOS in humans, no? Polycystic ovarian syndrome. So, sa hayop nangyayari din yung hormonal imbalance. And pag nagkaroon ng hormonal imbalance, that will affect yung paglalandi ng hayop, that will affect yung fertility, and that will um, affect yung uh, pregnancy ng hayop. Next, ketosis or diabetes-like condition that is due to energy imbalance. Pag may energy imbalance, hindi nagper-perform ng maayos yung pancreas na nagre-release ng insulin. Ano ang mangyayari? Nagkakaroon ng weight loss. So ito yung mga nakikita natin, na-observe natin sa hayop. May weight loss, reduced appetite, ayaw niyang kumain, and even poor milk production. So that ends our lecture for the endocrine system. I hope you learned something. Thank you very much for listening.